They don't tell you this in school, but success doesn't begin with talent, intelligence, or money. It begins with habits. Not just any habits, but powerful, deliberate, purpose-driven routines that rewire your mindset and reshape your future. If you're tired of watching other people win while you stand on the sidelines, this is your wake-up call. Because success doesn't randomly pick people. It follows those who live by powerful principles, practiced every day. And today, you're going to learn 5 of those habits. Not from theory, but from patterns found in the lives of the world's most successful people, the elite few who rise above again and again, not by chance, but by choice. Let's begin. Most people go through life chasing shadows, vague dreams, scattered goals, undefined ambitions. They say they want to be successful, but when you ask them what success actually looks like, their answers crumble under the weight of clarity. I want to be rich. I want to be happy. I want to make a difference. But how much money? What kind of happiness? What difference exactly? Without precise answers, they wander. They waste energy. They end up exhausted, confused, and stuck. Successful people, on the other hand, operate differently. They don't chase 100 things at once. They choose one mission, and they go after it with surgical precision. That's because they have ruthless clarity of purpose, and that clarity changes everything. It becomes their internal GPS. It guides their thoughts, their actions, their responses, their decisions. When you know your purpose, life becomes focused. Noise gets filtered out, time gets protected, distractions lose their power over you because you are anchored to something deeper. Clarity is more than just knowing what you want. It's knowing why you want it. The why gives your goals weight. It transforms them from wishes into commitments. Without a clear purpose, your energy is scattered. You wake up reacting to the world instead of creating your world. You scroll endlessly, jump from one idea to another, feel overwhelmed by options, and end your day with nothing meaningful accomplished. But with purpose, you rise every morning with direction. You're not wondering what to do. You already know. Every hour has meaning. Every task has context. Every sacrifice makes sense. One of the biggest lies people believe is that success begins with action. It doesn't. It begins with alignment. Before you build a strategy, before you hustle, before you grind, you need to be aligned with what matters most to you. The truth is, you can be climbing fast and still be climbing the wrong ladder. You can be achieving, but not advancing. You can be moving, but in circles. That's what happens without clarity. You confuse busyness with progress. You end up exhausted but not fulfilled. Clarity forces you to choose. And that's what makes it so powerful. Most people hate choosing. They want to keep every door open, follow every path, entertain every idea. But success demands focus, and focus requires trade-offs. You can't master everything. You can't be everywhere. You can't say yes to every opportunity and expect to go deep. Depth requires you to go narrow, to pick a lane and stay in it long enough to build momentum. That's what clarity gives you. It kills indecision. It silences doubt. It eliminates the noise. When you have a clear purpose, you don't need to constantly be motivated because purpose fuels itself. It drives you. You don't need to be pushed. You're pulled by something bigger than your comfort zone. You say no with confidence. You stop explaining yourself to people who don't understand. You stop trying to impress. You start trying to impact. And that shift in perspective is everything. Suddenly, you're not operating to be liked. You're operating to be effective. You're not reacting to life. You're building it. Clarity also gives you resilience because when you know your why, you can endure any how. You can push through rejection. You can fight through setbacks. You can stay committed through seasons of silence, doubt, and resistance. That's what separates the successful from the spectators. Most people quit because they don't really know what they're fighting for. But when your purpose is clear, you don't quit, you adjust. You adapt, you learn, you evolve, but you never stop. Even your confidence changes. When your life is aligned with your purpose, you carry yourself differently. You speak with more certainty. You move with more intention. People feel it. You walk into rooms and don't need to dominate because your energy already speaks. That's the quiet strength of someone who knows where they're going. But clarity isn't found in a moment. It's built through reflection. It requires stillness, honesty, questions that dig deep. What matters to me? What legacy do I want to leave? What makes me feel alive? What would I do if I knew I couldn't fail? These are not casual thoughts. They are the foundation of your future. And if you're not asking them, you're not serious about success. You have to be willing to dig, to be brutally honest with yourself, to eliminate the things that don't serve you, even if they're comfortable, even if they're familiar. Because anything that doesn't align with your purpose is a distraction, and distractions cost you time, energy, and opportunity. The price of unclear purpose is high. It keeps you small when you were born for greatness. Purpose doesn't guarantee ease, but it gives meaning to the struggle. It gives value to the work. It transforms ordinary days into steps towards something extraordinary. And the more you align your actions with your purpose, the more powerful you become. You stop chasing life and start creating it. Discipline is the invisible thread that pulls dreams into reality. It is not loud or flashy. It doesn't post about itself. It doesn't crave attention, but it is the quiet force behind every extraordinary achievement. People often confuse motivation with discipline. They wait to feel inspired before they act, but motivation is a mood. Discipline is a decision. Successful people don't rely on how they feel. They rely on what they've decided to become. They understand that consistency beats intensity, and showing up every day, even when it's hard, is what truly builds greatness. Discipline means doing what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like doing it. It's getting up when your bed feels warm. It's choosing the hard path when the easy one is right in front of you. It's making the call, writing the page, putting in the reps, sticking to your values, not because it feels good, but because it's who you are. That's the real strength, not in explosive spurts of energy, but in relentless, unshakable consistency. Discipline is what transforms an average person into a master. It is the dividing line between wishful thinking and real progress. There will always be excuses, always a reason to wait until tomorrow. The weather's not right. You're tired. You're busy. You're not in the mood. But discipline doesn't care about excuses. It doesn't negotiate with laziness. It doesn't argue with fear. It just acts. Over time, discipline builds trust with yourself. Every time you show up, even when it's hard, you send yourself a message. I am dependable. I am capable. I keep my word. That self-trust becomes confidence. That confidence becomes momentum, and that momentum becomes unstoppable. People look at successful individuals and think they must have it easier, that maybe they're naturally driven or wired differently. But the truth is, discipline is not natural. It's nurtured. It's built in the dark when no one's watching. It's forged in early mornings, late nights, moments when quitting would be easier. It's not about being perfect. It's about being committed. Every time you choose discipline over comfort, you strengthen your identity. You go from someone who wants to change to someone who is changing. You go from intention to transformation. The world is full of talented people who never made it, not because they lacked ability, but because they lacked discipline. They started strong, but faded when it got boring, when it got hard, when the results didn't come fast enough. But the ones who succeed, who truly win, are not the most talented. They are the most disciplined. They do the work long after the excitement has faded. They repeat the basics until they become brilliant. They build habits that remove choice. They don't wait until they feel like it because they know that feelings are fleeting, but outcomes are earned. Discipline simplifies life. When you're disciplined, you don't need to make decisions all the time. You've already decided. You don't waste mental energy debating whether or not to work out right, practice, show up. You just do it. You automate excellence. That frees your mind for deeper thinking, better performance, higher creativity. It gives you peace because there's no inner war, no tug of war between what you know you should do and what you're tempted to do. Discipline brings alignment. It gives structure to your ambition. It's easy to say you want to be great. It's much harder to do the things that greatness demands. Discipline asks for sacrifice. It asks you to trade short-term comfort for long-term gain. It asks you to delay gratification, to say no to distractions, to embrace boredom, to master repetition. It demands that you push yourself even when no one's watching, because the audience doesn't define your effort, your standard does. That's where true power lives, not in being seen, but in being consistent, not in applause, but in alignment. There will be days when you feel like quitting, days when the results are invisible, when no one is cheering, when progress feels painfully slow. That's when discipline shows its worth. Because discipline doesn't depend on external validation. It's not driven by likes or compliments. It's driven by a deeper commitment to your goals, to your values, to your future self. The person you're becoming is more important than the discomfort you're avoiding. That mindset changes how you live. You stop chasing dopamine, you start chasing discipline. Every breakthrough you're looking for lives on the other side of discipline. Every dream, every goal, every version of yourself you haven't met yet, it's all waiting for you to get serious, to stop dabbling, to stop starting and stopping, to stop negotiating with weakness, to lock in, to build routines that don't rely on how you feel, but on what you've decided to create. Success is not a matter of chance. It's a matter of choice, followed by discipline, repeated daily, without excuse. That's how legends are made. That's how lives are transformed. Environment is the silent architect of your success. It shapes you without your permission, influences you without your awareness, and either elevates you or erodes you over time. Most people think success is all about mindset, but what they don't realize is that your mindset is constantly being shaped by your surroundings, your habits, your people, your space, your energy, your conversations. You can have the best goals, the strongest willpower, and the clearest intentions, but if you're in a toxic or low energy environment, it will slowly drain you. Your environment either feeds your future or feeds your fear. It either helps you grow or helps you stay small. That's why successful people take full control of their surroundings. They understand that discipline is difficult when you're surrounded by distraction, and motivation dies quickly in the wrong atmosphere. So they build environments that match the level of their vision. Everything around you is either making you sharper or duller. The people you talk to, the content you consume, the room you work in, the words you hear, it all matters. Most people underestimate this and wonder why they feel stuck, uninspired, or inconsistent. But when you start upgrading your environment, you start upgrading your identity. When you're surrounded by focus, discipline, high standards, and big goals, you start to absorb those traits. You start behaving differently without even realizing it. You become more intentional, more alert, more focused. That's the power of proximity. You rise or fall based on what you're close to. Look at any successful individual and study their surroundings. You won't find chaos. You won't find clutter. You won't find low vibration energy. What you will find is design, intention, simplicity, purpose. They don't leave their environment to chance. They curate it. They eliminate what doesn't serve them. They invest in what supports them. They design spaces that make work easier, thinking clearer, and decisions faster, because they know that willpower alone is not enough. You have to set yourself up to win. And setting yourself up to win starts with your environment. Who you spend time with is one of the most important parts of your environment. If you're constantly around negative, lazy, drama-filled people, you will absorb that energy no matter how strong you think you are. Their mindset becomes your mindset. Their fears become your fears. Their limits become your limits. But if you surround yourself with driven, disciplined, hungry people, you level up automatically. You get stretched, challenged, pushed to think bigger, inspired to take action. You start to mirror the habits of those who are already living the life you want. That's not a coincidence. That's the law of environment at work. You don't have to cut everyone off to succeed, but you do have to create distance between yourself and the energy that pulls you backwards. That might mean spending less time with certain people, changing the types of conversations you entertain, or simply refusing to be influenced by small thinking. Your dreams are too important to be suffocated by comfort zones and casual relationships. If people aren't growing with you, they're slowing you down. Protect your environment like your future depends on it, because it does. Your physical space also plays a powerful role in your performance. A messy room creates a messy mind. A disorganized desk leads to scattered thinking. Clutter consumes energy, even if you don't notice it. On the flip side, clean spaces spark clarity. Order inspires focus. Minimalism removes distractions and amplifies intention. When your space is designed for flow and simplicity, your mind begins to operate on a higher level. You get more done in less time, you think deeper, you move with more purpose. That's not magic, it's environment in action. The digital environment matters just as much. What you see online, what you listen to, what you watch, what you scroll through, it all leaves an imprint. If you're constantly consuming fear, drama, comparison, gossip, and distraction, your energy will reflect that. Your thoughts will scatter. Your confidence will shrink. Your focus will evaporate. But when you flood your digital space with knowledge, motivation, strategies, and wisdom, your whole operating system upgrades. You start thinking differently. You start seeing possibilities where others see problems. You begin operating at a frequency that matches your potential. Creating a powerful environment is not about luxury. It's about alignment. It doesn't matter if you live in a small apartment or a large house. It doesn't matter if your current circle is full of growth-minded people or not. What matters is what you allow and what you eliminate. You can always control your immediate environment, your room, your routine, your schedule, your input. You can choose what you listen to. You can choose how you start your day. You can choose who you talk to. These are small choices that shape big results over time. And successful people are masters of these choices. If your current environment doesn't match the level of success you want, change it. Don't wait for perfect conditions. Start removing what weakens you and start adding what strengthens you. One book, one person, one change in routine, one clean workspace. It all adds up. Your environment should be a place that pulls the best out of you. It should remind you of your goals, challenge your limits, and make excellence your normal. When you step into your space, it should speak to your future, not your past. It should energize your purpose, not exhaust your focus. Learning is the seed of every breakthrough, and the people who never stop learning are the ones who never stop growing. Success doesn't belong to the smartest people. It belongs to the most adaptable ones. And adaptability comes from a mindset that refuses to remain stagnant. The world changes fast. Technology, markets, perspectives, problems, they evolve every single day. Those who stay stuck in old patterns, old thinking, and outdated information slowly become irrelevant. But those who make learning a daily habit keep evolving. They stay sharp. They spot opportunities others miss. They outgrow their challenges because they've outgrown their former self. There's a difference between consuming information and truly learning. The internet is full of endless content, but knowledge is useless if it doesn't shape your thinking or change your behavior. Real learning doesn't just sit in your mind. It transforms your decision-making, your mindset, and your results. Successful people don't chase random facts. They pursue mastery. They study deliberately, ask better questions, and extract wisdom from everything around them. They learn from books, mentors, experiences, failures, patterns, feedback, and even from silence. Because they know learning isn't something you graduate from. It's something you live by. Every time you learn something new, you sharpen your edge. You create a gap between who you were and who you're becoming. That gap is called growth. And the wider it becomes, the more valuable you become to the world. The truth is, your ability to learn faster than others is a superpower. It's what allows you to adapt in uncertain times, overcome unexpected setbacks, and rise in environments where others sink. Learning is not a luxury. It's a survival skill in today's world. If you're not learning, you're falling behind. And it's not just about technical skills or academic knowledge. Some of the most powerful lessons come from learning about yourself, your triggers, your fears, your limiting beliefs, your habits, your emotional responses. Self-awareness is the foundation of self-mastery, and self-mastery is the foundation of success. The more you understand your inner world, the more control you have over your outer world. You stop being reactive and start being strategic. You stop blaming others and start building better outcomes. This kind of learning changes the way you lead, love, speak, work, and think. The most successful people are students of life. They ask questions constantly. They seek mentors who stretch them. They watch how winners operate. They analyze failure without taking it personally. They read not just to escape, but to equip themselves. They take notes on life. They stay curious, even when they're already accomplished, because they know that pride is the enemy of growth. The moment you think you know enough is the moment your progress dies. Staying humble enough to always be a learner is one of the rarest and most powerful traits a person can have. There's also a power in learning from pain. Every setback, every rejection, every disappointment is a lesson wrapped in discomfort. Most people waste pain. They numb it, avoid it, or complain about it. But the successful ones extract the lesson and use it as fuel. They ask, what is this teaching me? What can I do better next time? How do I turn this into wisdom? Pain becomes a teacher when you choose to listen. And once you've learned from pain, it loses its power to break you. It becomes a stepping stone instead of a stumbling block. Learning also means being flexible with your beliefs. What got you here won't get you there. The strategies, assumptions, or perspectives that helped you win yesterday might be the very ones that limit you tomorrow. So you have to be willing to challenge your thinking. Let go of what no longer serves you. Update your mindset like you would update your software. This isn't weakness, it's wisdom. It takes strength to admit that something you believed before might be wrong now. It takes strength to change your approach when something isn't working. That's what growth-minded people do. They evolve. Making learning a habit means carving out time for it daily. Even if it's just 10 minutes of reading, a podcast while you drive, reflecting on your day, asking deeper questions, listening more than you speak. Every day is filled with chances to learn, but only those who are intentional will capture them. It doesn't have to be formal. It just has to be consistent. Success is built on small wins, and daily learning is one of the most powerful small wins there is. People admire intelligence, but they follow wisdom. Wisdom comes from experience, and experience becomes powerful when it's processed through reflection and learning. You don't just live, you learn as you live. You take notes from every chapter, every interaction, every season. You let life refine you, not define you. That's how people build depth. That's how leaders are formed. That's how success becomes sustainable. In a world full of noise, where everyone wants to speak, the learners are the ones who listen. They observe. They adapt. They apply. And because of that, they grow. They don't need to shout about their progress. It's visible in the way they think, move, and lead. They have a quiet confidence that comes from knowing they're better today than they were yesterday. That inner transformation starts with the habit of learning. There is one habit that quietly separates the dreamers from the doers, the wishers from the winners, and the busy from the effective: execution. The ability to take action consistently and relentlessly is what turns visions into reality. So many people have goals, ideas, plans, and potential, but they never break the barrier between planning and doing. They wait for the perfect moment, for motivation to strike, for clarity to magically appear, but successful people don't operate like that. They understand that the world doesn't reward intentions, it rewards results. And results only come from action. Execution is where discipline meets urgency. It's the muscle that moves you forward, even when you're tired, even when you're scared, even when the odds are stacked against you. Ideas are easy. action is hard, but action is where you build your edge. It's where you gain momentum, learn faster, fail forward, and grow stronger. Most people lose because they hesitate too long, they analyze too much, or they procrastinate too often. But the winners? They start, they move, they build as they go, they figure it out while doing. That's the mindset that changes everything. Success is never about how much you know. It's about what you do with what you know. You can read all the books, attend all the seminars, follow all the right people. But if you don't apply the knowledge, it's just noise. Application is the difference maker. When you execute daily, you begin to build trust with yourself. You stop second guessing. You stop doubting. You begin to feel your own power because you see yourself showing up, following through, and building something tangible. Execution becomes your evidence. It becomes proof that you're becoming the person you promised yourself you would be. Most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they lack follow-through. They start strong, but they don't finish. They want the result, but they resist the process. They romanticize the goal, but they underestimate the grind. The successful ones embrace the grind. They don't let feelings dictate their action. They build routines, systems, and structures that support their execution, even on the days when motivation is nowhere to be found. They understand that consistency beats intensity. It's better to take small steps every day than to take one big step once in a while and stop. Execution requires clarity. If you don't know what you're aiming at, you'll never hit anything. That's why successful people break their big goals into smaller, actionable steps. They don't just say, I want to be successful. They define what success looks like, what actions lead to it, and how to measure progress along the way. They wake up knowing what needs to be done, and then they do it. Clarity cuts confusion, and when confusion is gone, hesitation disappears. That's when execution becomes your natural state, not your forced effort. There's a mindset that must be developed to execute at a high level, and that mindset is ownership. You have to stop waiting for circumstances to align or for someone to save you. You have to take complete responsibility for your time, your decisions, and your outcomes. When you adopt a mindset of ownership, excuses vanish. You stop blaming external factors and start asking, what can I do right now to move forward? That shift in thinking is powerful because it puts the power back in your hands. It eliminates helplessness and installs a sense of urgency and control. Execution also demands focus. We live in a world of constant distractions, notifications, scrolling, opinions, entertainment. Focus has become a rare superpower, and the people who master it are the ones who win. Successful people eliminate distractions ruthlessly. They protect their time, their attention, and their mental energy. They create blocks of uninterrupted time to do deep work. They know that scattered attention leads to scattered results. So they train themselves to be fully present in what they're doing. That presence creates quality, and quality repeated over time builds success. Fear is another enemy of execution. The fear of failure, judgment, imperfection. But here's the truth. Execution isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Every step you take teaches you something. Every mistake reveals a lesson. Every attempt brings feedback. You learn faster by doing than by overthinking. And the more you do, the more confident you become. Confidence doesn't come from wishing. It comes from doing. That's why the most successful people aren't fearless. They're just willing to act despite the fear. They've trained themselves to move forward even when it's uncomfortable. Procrastination is the silent killer of dreams. It disguises itself as productivity, planning, preparing, researching, waiting. But nothing changes until action happens. You have to learn to do the hard things first. Eat the frog. Tackle the uncomfortable tasks. Move before you feel ready. The more you delay, the more your goals drift further away, but every time you act, you pull your future closer. Execution builds the bridge between where you are and where you want to be, and it's a bridge only you can build. One step at a time. Momentum is born through movement, The first action is always the hardest, but once you begin, energy builds. One task completed leads to the next. Confidence compounds, clarity sharpens. You begin to feel unstoppable, not because things got easier, but because you got stronger. That strength comes from motion. It comes from repeated execution. And once you taste that momentum, you'll never want to go back to standing still. You'll crave the feeling of progress. You'll be addicted to showing up. That's when success stops being a hope and starts becoming a habit. These 5 habits, they're not magic. They're not sexy, but they're powerful because they are rare. Most people won't practice clarity. Most people won't choose discipline. Most people won't take ownership. Most people won't protect their environment. Most people won't commit to learning daily. But you're not most people. You're here because something in you refuses to settle. Something in you knows you're capable of more. Not someday, but now. Success is not reserved for the chosen few. It's earned by the disciplined few. And it starts with daily choices. So here's your challenge. 1, write down your purpose. Make it real, make it clear. 2, commit to one daily discipline, even if it's small, especially if it's small. 3, own one thing you've been blaming others for. Shift the power back to yourself. 4, change one part of your environment. Make it support your goals. 5, feed your mind something valuable every single day. Because what you put in, you will live out. The road won't be easy, but it will be worth it. And when you look back, you won't remember the struggle, and you'll remember the transformation. Because success doesn't come to those who wait. It comes to those who work with habits that make them unbreakable. Start today. Win tomorrow. Live legendary.